Imagine a night much like this one. The year is 1912. The air is crisp, the sky is clear, and the North Atlantic Ocean is eerily calm. But this tranquility is about to be shattered. This is the Titanic, the largest ship afloat at the time, a marvel of engineering, a symbol of human ambition and luxury. She was deemed unsinkable, but as we all know, she did sink. In just over 2 hours, the Titanic would plunge into the icy depths of the Atlantic, taking with her over 1,500 souls. It's a story that is echoed through the ages, but do we really know what happened that fateful night? Do we know who or what was truly responsible? In this video, we'll delve into the story of the Titanic like never before. We'll explore the ambition that built her, the arrogance that doomed her, and the aftermath that forever changed maritime safety. We'll uncover untold stories, reveal hidden secrets, and challenge long-held assumptions. So if you're ready to embark on this journey, let's set sail into history. Prepare yourself for a voyage of discovery as we unravel the true story of the Titanic, the ship that has captivated the world for over a century. Imagine the year is 1909. In the heart of Belfast, at the bustling Harland and Wolff shipyard. This is where our tale begins, with the laying of the keel of the Titanic. The project was an ambitious one, backed by the wealthy and driven J. Bruce Ismay, president of the White Star Line, but it was brought to life by the hands of thousands of workers, men who toiled day and night, pouring their sweat and skill into every rivet and beam. Ismay just didn't want to build a ship. He wanted to build the world's largest, most luxurious ship, a ship that would make headlines, a ship that would outshine the competition. And so, the Titanic was designed to be just that. At 882 feet long and 175 feet high, she was larger than any ship ever built. She was a floating palace, equipped with the most advanced technology of the time. But the Titanic was more than just size and power. She was the epitome of luxury. Her first-class accommodations were unrivaled, boasting features like a grand staircase, a gymnasium, a swimming pool, and even a Turkish bath. Then there was the safety aspect. The Titanic was designed with state-of-the-art safety features. She had a double-bottom hull, an extra layer of protection from the treacherous sea. She was equipped with 16 watertight compartments, designed to seal off and contain flooding in the event of a hull breach. In addition, she carried 20 lifeboats, more than legally required at the time, though not enough for all passengers and crew. It was these features, particularly the watertight compartments, that led many to call her unsinkable. But as we'll see, unsinkable was a dangerous word. It bred complacency, it bred arrogance, and ultimately, it bred disaster. But before we get to that, let's set sail with the Titanic on her maiden voyage and meet the people who dared to step aboard this marvel of human ambition. April 10th, 1912, a day marked by anticipation and excitement. The Titanic, this marvel of human ambition, was ready to embark on its maiden voyage. At the helm was Captain Edward John Smith, a seasoned mariner with over 40 years of experience at sea. This was to be his final voyage before retirement, and what better ship to retire on than the grandest ship of them all, the Titanic. From the bustling docks of Southampton, thousands of spectators gathered to wave goodbye, their eyes filled with awe and envy. On board, over 2,200 passengers and crew, each with their dreams and stories, were about to set sail on what was touted as the journey of a lifetime. The Titanic was a microcosm of the society of the time. In the first class, the wealthiest and most influential figures of the day, from business tycoons to celebrities. In the second class are the middle-class travelers, professionals, and tourists. And in the third class, immigrants filled with hope for a new life in America. As the Titanic sailed away, the air was filled with excitement and laughter. There were lavish dinners, lively dances, and countless other entertainments. The Titanic's route was to take her from Southampton to Cherbourg in France, then to Queenstown in Ireland, and finally across the Atlantic to New York City. It was a journey that should have taken 7 days. But as the Titanic sailed further into the open sea, the first iceberg warnings started to come in. These warnings were sent by other ships that had spotted ice in the Titanic's path. Despite these warnings, the ship pressed on, maintaining her high speed. The belief in her unsinkability seemed to overshadow the caution that was needed. The ship's radio operators were busy sending passenger messages and didn't prioritize the iceberg warnings. The stage was set for a journey filled with promise and excitement, but as we know, it was a journey that would end in tragedy. The question is, could this tragedy have been avoided? As we delve deeper into the Titanic's fateful voyage, we'll uncover the decisions and actions that led to one of the greatest disasters in maritime history. It's the night of April 14, 1912. The Titanic is sailing through the icy waters of the North Atlantic at full speed. In the crow's nest, the ship's lookouts, Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee, are straining their eyes into the darkness. They're on high alert, but there's a problem. The binoculars they should have been using are locked away, and the key is missing. Suddenly, an iceberg appears out of the darkness. The fleet sounds the alarm and calls the bridge. "Iceberg, right ahead," he warns. First Officer Murdoch orders a hard a starboard and the engines to be put in reverse, but it's too late. The iceberg scrapes along the ship's starboard side, puncturing the unsinkable double-bottomed hull. 5 of the supposedly watertight compartments are breached. Water begins to flood in. On board, there's confusion, then panic. The unsinkable Titanic is sinking. Captain Smith orders the lifeboats to be uncovered, but there's a fatal flaw in the plan. There are only enough lifeboats for about half of the people on board. And worse, many of the lifeboats are launched half-empty due to confusion, a lack of clear instructions, and a belief among some passengers that the ship won't fully sink. As the Titanic's stern rises out of the water, those left on board are faced with a grim reality. Despite the women and children first policy, many are left behind. The ships and plays on in a final act of defiant courage. In less than 3 hours, the Titanic would disappear beneath the waves, taking with her over 1,500 souls. It's a chilling tale of tragedy and human error. As we delve deeper into the Titanic's final hours, we'll uncover the decisions and actions that led to one of the greatest disasters in maritime history. As dawn broke on April 15, 1912, the rescue ship Carpathia arrived at the scene. They had received the Titanic's distress calls and raced through the ice field to help. What they found was a sea filled with lifeboats and the haunting echoes of a disaster. Over 700 survivors were pulled from the lifeboats, but for more than 1,500 others, it was too late. News of the disaster sent shockwaves around the world. The unsinkable Titanic had sunk, and the world wanted to know why. In the aftermath, both American and British inquiries were launched to investigate the disaster. They called upon surviving passengers and crew, as well as maritime experts, to piece together the events of that fateful night. The inquiries focused on several key issues. Why did the Titanic continue at full speed despite the iceberg warnings? Why were there not enough lifeboats? And why were many of the lifeboats launched half-empty? The inquiries led to a storm of blame and controversy. The ship's captain, the White Star Line, the shipbuilders, all were scrutinized. But could the disaster have been prevented? In the wake of the disaster, many were quick to point fingers. Captain Edward Smith was criticized for maintaining full speed despite the iceberg warnings. But was he just following the standard practice of the time? The White Star Line, the company that operated the Titanic, faced significant blame. They had prioritized luxury and speed over safety. There were not enough lifeboats for everyone on board. A decision was made to preserve deck space and maintain the ship's aesthetic. and the ship was sailing at full speed in an ice field, a decision driven by the desire to make headlines with a fast maiden voyage. The shipbuilders, Harland and Wolff, also faced scrutiny. The Titanic was a marvel of engineering, but was it a flawed design? Could the unsinkable hull have been better constructed? The American and British inquiries concluded with a storm of blame, but the most damning indictment was against the White Star Line. Their pursuit of luxury and speed had come at a terrible cost. But from this tragedy came change. Disaster led to the formation of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, an important treaty still in effect today. New regulations were put in place, including sufficient lifeboats for all passengers, 24-hour radio watch, and regular lifeboat drills. The sinking of the Titanic was a tragedy that could have been prevented. It was a result of human error, complacency, and arrogance. But it also led to changes that have undoubtedly saved lives. For over 70 years, the Titanic lay undisturbed at the bottom of the North Atlantic, a silent testament to a disaster that shook the world. Then in 1985, oceanographer Robert Ballard and his team made a historic discovery. Using advanced underwater technology, they located the Titanic's final resting place over 12,000 feet below the surface. The images they brought back were haunting. The grand staircase, the ship's propellers, and a trail of personal belongings scattered across the ocean floor, a ghostly reminder of the lives lost. Since then, efforts have been made to preserve the wreck and protect it from treasure hunters. The Titanic is more than just a shipwreck. It's a gravesite, a place of remembrance. The Titanic story continues to captivate us, not just because of the grandeur of the ship or the magnitude of the disaster, but because of the lessons it taught us. Lessons about human ambition, about the dangers of complacency, about the importance of safety. As we remember the Titanic, let's ensure that these lessons are never forgotten. From the ambitious construction of the Titanic to its tragic end, we've journeyed through a story that continues to captivate us. If you found this video informative and engaging, please like, subscribe, and share it with others. And if you're interested in more captivating stories, don't forget to check out our other videos on the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle and the ongoing China-Taiwan conflict. Let's continue to learn and grow together.